Have you seen this? It's more like anger problem kickboxer or intermittent explosive disorder kickboxer. Welcome to Have You Seen This?
The world's only podcast about obscure, overlooked, and misbegotten media.
All discussions will be spoiler heavy.
You have been warned.
This show would not be possible without the support of our patrons. If you would like to support our show, join us at patreon.com/haveyouseenthis. Patrons get the show a week early, and $5 supporters also get access to our Discord. Or you can tip us at our Ko-fi. Visit the link in the show notes. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again. Tim has been extraordinarily renditioned to the Lego factory in Billund, Denmark. We'll be posting a GoFundMe for his legal costs, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. He got himself into that situation. In the meantime, I have another able guest pinch hitting. Maybe you have listened to her very funny podcasts, Lie, Cheat, Steal, or What a Time to Be Alive. Maybe you've seen her do stand-up. Maybe you've seen her shitposting. Very funny lady. We have Kath Barbadoro. Kath, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi. Thoughts and prayers for Tim.
He could use them. He's always getting himself into extremely sticky Lego-based situations. So yeah, prayers up for Tim.
Sticky and Legos is a bad combination.
It really is. It would lead him to wash Legos compulsively, as he is often want to do. I can't count the number of times I've been to his house and seen like just a ton of random Lego pieces like laid out on towels. That's not a joke. The man is passionate about his particular hobby, but I suspect he might be laughing up his sleeve at me anyway, because this week we're covering a very Jen movie. It's
This is more of a you thing than a Tim thing, you think?
Yeah, like I tend to be more forgiving of the movies that are just absolute trash. Like the ones that are hilariously poorly made, where the filmmakers are not making the wisest choices necessarily. Certain movies like that are just absolute catnip to me, and this one is no exception. The full title is apparently The Dark Angel, Psycho Kickboxer. It's called Psycho Kickboxer on Tubi. That's what it says on the box art they put up there, so that's what we're going to call it. But Kath, do you want to give us just a real short summary of what Psycho Kickboxer is about?
Sure. It's a very classic kind of direct-to-video martial arts plot, which they somehow managed to like pace really weirdly, even though it's like a total like straightforward classic thing. So okay, you got a kickboxer. His fiance and father are brutally murdered by a shadowy organization that his father is about to take to task as a lawyer.
Yep, standard setup.
Is he the chief? What is he? He's something.
His dad is the chief of police, and
okay, that's what it is.
Yeah. And because someone apparently is gunning for his job, that's part of why this happens. But pray continue.
Right, which is an early shocking turn.
Yeah. Oh, I was so shocked.
But yeah, so then naturally, after, licking his wounds from this horrible tragedy, he meets a Vietnam vet who trains him to be a killing machine, and then he exacts his revenge. Despite the recent killing of his fiance, he also has like a sexy femme fatale that he must save.
Right.
So yeah, it's a classic. Don't mess with success. This is the plot that these movies should have, I think.
Yeah, it certainly does hit all the beats. Maybe in kind of a lackadaisical sense, because yeah, it is paced very strangely, and it
like they have all the beats, but not all the acts. Like the beats do not follow a typical 3-act structure of a film.
Yeah.
Like they get there eventually, but yeah.
Yeah. But since you pretty much know where it's going, you're like, yeah, all right. And really this was, I don't think this was a one and done by the filmmaker, but he didn't exactly carve out a career beyond this. It's someone named Marty South.
This was not like the early work of an auteur or something.
No. Yeah, exactly. And this was also apparently filmed over 5 years, which shows in Virginia Beach.
Okay,
now,
that explains some things about this, that it
well,
was filmed over 5 years.
Oh, absolutely, because there is some quite variable wardrobe in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like some scenes, you're like, why do people have acid wash jeans and full-on mullets? And then
Yeah, there's some bad hair pieces that like are a little confusing, but sort of makes sense if you think, okay, people change a lot in 5 years. It also explains why so much of the movie takes place in a black void.
yes,
Which is, for continuity's sake, like much easier to deal with than exterior shots, of which there are very few.
yeah.
So,
And that's
yeah.
just smart production design, especially when not only do you not have a lot of resources, but you're shooting in beautiful Virginia Beach.
Right. And it's not supposed to be a specific place as far as I can tell. So
Yeah.
it's supposed to be a crime-riddled hellscape, apparently, but they don't say specifically which one it is.
Right. And I'm a lifelong West Coaster, so I'm not familiar with the area, but do you know that part of Virginia at all? I don't know why you would, but do you?
I mean, I haven't been to Virginia Beach specifically, but I feel like it's like a nice beach town. It definitely looks pretty bleak and industrial in this movie. I don't think it's like bad.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, and
I think it's like kind of touristy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I kind of assumed that this was just like the filmmaker's hometown, and that's in line with several movies that we've covered on the show, like Fight Ring is shot around Connecticut, for example.
I did look up the main guy, the kickboxer.
Yes.
And I think he is from there.
Okay.
Curtis Bush is his name. He's from, he was born in Virginia Beach. So that must explain it.
So,
which also, fun fact about him.
Yes.
That he has done a little bit of acting. He gets roles here and there. But he is now, he works with children with special needs in Hawaii.
Aw.
I'm like, good for you, dude.
Damn.
I like you. And he also gave a quote about this movie and just said, we had so much fun making it and we all lost money, which like made me like the movie more. That he was like, it was a great memory. Like it was so fun.
Yeah, like if it makes you feel any better, Curtis, like that's usually what happens on movies.
Totally.
Most people don't make money off making a feature. Just the fact that they finished it, like, and that's something, that's something we've said on the show many, many, many times. It's like, it's not easy to make a feature and to actually complete it and get it distributed. It's like, hey, that's a win, even if the movie is incredibly stupid.
It really is like if you've ever been like tangentially involved in like any kind of filmmaking stuff, like it feels like a miracle anytime a movie is any good because they are so hard to make.
Absolutely.
Like, it really is magical when they're actually like something beyond like workmanlike. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, 100%. Like if I watch a movie like Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure, like I'm even more blown away by how the filmmakers have command of every single aspect of the movie.
Yeah.
Everything.
I love that movie.
It's
one of my favorite
ones.
It's
so good. And then you have the kind of shit that piles up on Tubi where it's just like a guy got some cameras and some friends and did what he could. And and I know Tim thinks I'm crazy, but a lot of times those movies are perversely like the most enjoyable. And this one, in spite of its flaws, is definitely one of those for me. But we can get into it. And like I mentioned earlier, it is on Tubi, so get it while it's hot, free with ads. It's really fun if you like this sort of shit, which I know quite a few of you do.
This to me is like the perfect thing to see on a TV in a corner at a dive bar. Like I would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you go in, you get your like Miller High Life or whatever, and you sit down and you see this is on the television and you like make fun of it with the bartender or whatever. It's just like it's perfect for that level of entertainment.
I would love to walk into, say, Virginia Beach's famous The Hot Tuna and order a Tom Collins and watch this on an old tube TV. That would be a blast.
Yeah. Got to be an old tube TV. That's very important.
100%. And this, as I mentioned, does have some local color to it because, like I mentioned, the restaurant outside of which the hero and his dad and fiance get attacked, I looked it up, and that place is still running.
Aww.
Yeah, like they survived COVID, so bless them. There are some recurring characters who are like sort of not very good morning zoo DJs.
Yeah. Are those real morning zoo DJs?
That's what I was going to ask, because it's not exactly like Howard Stern and Robin Quivers here, but I don't know.
They do have like a very authentic morning zoo energy, like the way that they speak with one another.
Yeah.
And just like, it would not surprise me if they were like local Virginia Beach celebs, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like the protagonist, this Curtis Bush guy, like, I think he was kind of a Virginia Beach celeb because he was a champion kickboxer.
Yeah, like a world champion.
When this movie came out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's how quite a few of these kinds of actors and stars appear in this kind of feature. They are thick on the ground at this stratum of filmmaking. You find a guy or a woman who is good at kicking real high, can throw some fast punches, and you're like, hey, you reflect light. Why don't you be in my movie?
Yeah.
They're not usually trained thespians, is the thing.
No, and it was interesting to me because, like, oftentimes in this movie there'll be like one person who can act.
Yes.
And this one really was lacking that. I felt everyone was very very amateurish, which again is charming, but often there's someone in the cast that's like, maybe it's like the martial arts guy, and then his mentor or whatever will be somebody the name they could put on the cover.
Yes.
That like doesn't mean much, but is like something.
Yeah.
And this, as far as I could tell, did not have anybody.
Right. The level of acting here it's not as bad as a movie we did recently, Lichen Colony, where I think we said that there were literally no acceptable performances in the entire movie. There are maybe 2 or 3 actors in here who would crush it at the local community theater. Not necessarily a community theater near where I live, where we get quite a few people who are like industry professionals, like, just having a blast.
On summer vacation.
Yeah, having a blast during the summer. Not hating, just saying, but a few of them are at least trying.
Who did you like?
Well, I thought that our female lead was okay.
I think she was my favorite.
Yeah.
I liked her and her relationship with the PI guy. I was like, okay, this like resembles something that would be in a better movie than this.
I also, that character of the PI, Jack Cook, he's played by some guy who looks like PJ O'Rourke and also kind of acts like PJ O'Rourke because he's also getting drunk all the time.
And owing the bar money.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah. And there's probably a scene cut where he was like, I was married to Lena Horne's granddaughter, or something like that. I don't know. Boy, Jen, that's save that one for the Chapo crowd. That's fucking obscure. Anyway, the PI Jack Cook, I love that character because he is just he's struggling. He seems very divorced, to be honest.
Yeah, very divorced. Very divorced. As far as I know, we do not see inside where he lives, but you know what it is in a movie like this. He's got like one chair facing a window in an empty room with like a bottle of Jack next to it. Like definitely that vibe. He's got the like Matthew McConaughey True Detective tiny mirror. I can see it.
Yeah, but Michelle Monaghan ain't coming over to get fucked by this guy.
Nope, definitely not. Definitely not.
He's got like, they're like open containers of Chinese food scattered here and there.
Yes.
Definitely underwear on a lamp, if he even has a lamp. Yeah, that kind of guy. And it's, I think in a more adept film, this would be an absolutely hilarious character.
Yeah.
As it is, he's sort of accidentally hilarious, but still pretty funny. And there was an effort to at least, have a personality for the character. Because the rest of the movie is kind of populated with very stock action, thriller, revenge movie tropes.
Yeah, nobody really has any definition to them beyond their very utilitarian characters.
Yeah.
Which again, I think is probably partially the performance limitations of most of them, including I think especially our main guy, who again, like I do like. I feel like I looked him up after. I have affection for him, but yeah, he's struggling for sure.
Yeah, like he's like he does kick real high. I'll give him that.
His kicks are sweet.
Yeah.
That's the best. I think the best thing in this movie are the kicks.
Yes. Which you want that when it says right on the box. It's about some kind of kickboxer, let alone one with some kind of mental disorder.
Yeah, no, it's got to deliver on the kicks. I also really liked that apparently they only had access to one punch sound effect.
Yeah, and
which is very good.
The effects in this, the Foley, are hilarious right off the bat. Like as soon as the movie starts,
immediately so good.
Yeah, because they're sparring and they have corner guys for some reason. I don't know if you need that when you're sparring, but I'm not into martial arts. But yeah, so our hero Alex is just beating the shit out of some like doughy guy in like a Thrasher t-shirt.
Mm-hmm. A lot of his opponents are very unevenly matched to him.
Yeah, and I feel like this might be a factor when you're making your movie like in the mid-Atlantic somewhere.
Sure, yeah, they don't have access to like a bunch of stunt guys. It probably is just like,
yeah,
I don't know, guys that were in his class or something.
Yeah, like,
his kickboxing class.
Yeah, guys who are just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll be in your movie. Like, fuck yeah, that's cool. Guys with like the I don't know, the white belt or whatever. Like, and yeah, so and this is where we get a little bit of a hint of the character of our hero. You know, he's a little bit of a loose cannon. Like, you know, he's beaten pretty hard on this mullet guy. And he even gets remonstrated by, I don't remember who, saying like, Alex, you can't be beating on your sparring partners like that. And he's like, I wasn't beating on my sparring partner. Yeah, like really good audio mixing throughout this movie, I should mention.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get to meet his father, the chief of police, who's, of course, like so proud of his kickboxing son, anger problems or not. And then we establish the character of the second in command of the cops, I guess, who just seems like an office manager.
Yeah, he's definitely he's cucked in this movie for sure.
Yeah, he really is. He really just, like, I can't emphasize enough how many people in this movie just look like computer programmers from 1992.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe them. I mean, yeah, they have to save like the two buff guys for the end because that's like the final bosses. Right. Like, so like everybody else is just kind of a guy who lives in Virginia Beach. And I did like that about the movie because also like I feel like the ladies in it are like that too. Like they didn't get like ridiculously overmatched attractive women. They got like pretty women who are normal.
Right.
They got like, yeah, it just, I don't know. Everybody in it looks like a real person in a way that's nice. Although for the plot doesn't make a ton of sense because it's a martial arts movie. So like you kind of want people that look like they could beat you up. But yeah, because I don't know. It's always nice to see normal looking people in a movie.
That's true. And that is a hallmark of independent filmmaking, which I think is generally a positive thing. You know, not everyone, you know, they're not that close to New York. They're not going to get like a bunch of like Broadway hopefuls or anything like that. They're working with what they got. And so they cast the first and second hottest woman in Virginia Beach. Mm-hmm. And then they just asked people from the local dojo to come help out, like get kicked in the face on camera. It's charming. And so we meet, it is established that our hero has a fiance. He has a dad who loves him very much. And
he proposes to her in an extremely uncomfortable scene.
Oh my God.
Very awkward.
Yeah. Yeah, like, and it starts off like they're walking along the beach and you expect to hear 20 explosive hits by the original artists or something like that.
Yeah, with the scroll over it and all the songs.
Yeah.
Definitely that vibe. And he's dressed like it's so mid-90s the way he's dressed.
The vest.
He's got like a vest on. Yeah, so good.
And she's in like, is that the scene where she's in like a white tank top? Or like a white, I'm sorry, she's in like a white turtleneck, with like very teased hair. And the body language in this is so uncomfortable. And
well, that's what was so weird to me, because like at first, because she's clearly not an actress, and so at first I was like, I wonder if this is his real partner.
Oh shit, maybe.
And then I realized they had no chemistry, and I was like, this must not be his real partner, but it's also someone who can't act. Okay, cool.
Do you know? I don't know how familiar you are with, and here's $10 in the jar from me. But I don't know how familiar you are with Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Pretty familiar.
Yeah.
No, I'm. Yeah, I do a show. I'm embarrassed because I do a show. I've been doing a show for like a dozen years that's basically Mystery Science Theater, but I haven't actually watched all that much of it.
Oh, fuck. So I want to listen to that because that's kind of my shit. So
we're on, we do twitch.tv/Master Pancake Theater, and then we have live shows in Austin.
Oh, so awesome. Yeah, like
plug for Master Pancake.
Hell yeah. I got finally a reason to log into Twitch. But there was a movie that was on the Sci-Fi Channel around a Mystery Science Theater called Horror of Party Beach, and I'm still trying to verify this because I'm a research nut and I believe in not spreading misinformation. But apparently, the romantic leads in that film were brother and sister in real life.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I was like, are you serious? No wonder they had no chemistry.
That casting agent should be in jail. You can't do that. That's not cool.
Well, that was another case of and I forget where the movie was made. Again, it was another, I think, mid-Atlantic film from the early 60s. And yeah, like, hey, like we got to cast who we can cast, but like
right, who will do it?
Yeah, like but come on. That is so awkward. Like how do you even get a good performance out of a couple when they're brother and sister? Like unless you're
what can you even do?
Yeah, unless you're making like a really fucked up kind of a movie, but yeah. So this I don't think that's the case here. But just the way that they interact, and I can't even blame them necessarily because I don't know how I would feel if you just stuck me in front of a camera and you're like, okay, make out with this guy. I'd be like, all right, just don't make me look too gross, I guess.
Yeah, I have never seen footage of myself doing that and hope to never see footage of myself doing that. I feel like I just don't want to know. That's not my business.
Right. I really don't need to see my face like mashed up against another person's in close up. And because they feel the need to drive the point home. Not only do we see them together on the beach, but we also see Alex taking his fiancée to an apartment, which I guess is like a new apartment or something. I guess.
Yeah, I was a little unclear on that as well.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, we are clearly establishing this so that something bad can happen to her.
Right. Yeah, we all know how this works. And sure. So and then he takes her out on the balcony and they're looking over the beach, the Virginia beach, and he proposes marriage to her. And then to really, really make sure that we know how much they love and care for each other, we have to see them having sex.
Of course.
Right.
There's a lot of gratuitous like nudity and stuff in this movie. This is maybe the most gratuitous, but I don't know. Again, let's really drive home the point that he likes this lady.
Yeah.
So sure.
Yeah. And quite a few butts. And at this point, because they start, the panning shot over lovingly entwined bodies, like starting from the level of the water in the bathtub or whatever. It's like, oh my God, whose ass is that? And hey, it's Curtis Bush's. Way to go, my man. Looking good.
Good for him for committing,
Yes.
Also, he is real hunky. I get why they wanted to put him in a movie and make him the star, because he's very handsome.
He's an impressive
You gotta
guy.
hope that he's charismatic, and he's not.
Right.
But I get why they tried.
Again, he reflects light, and he can kick and punch on camera, so that is
kick real high.
Yeah, that is good enough for this kind of movie. And
I do want to revise something I said earlier, though. I said there's a lot of gratuitous nudity in this movie. That is not true. There is a little gratuitous nudity, but it is so gratuitous.
That's a good way of putting it.
A lot of gratuitous, not a lot of nudity. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
In case you watch and are disappointed.
Yeah, and again, very common to this type of film, where it's like, just put a naked chick in here. Make sure you're paying attention.
We got to get this thing to 120 minutes. So,
yeah. Or, a tight 80 minutes for the VHS tape.
Hour 20. It's an 80-minute film.
And honestly, that's the kind of movie I like. Get in, get out. Don't waste my time.
I agree. This movie at 90 even, no thanks. 80? Mm-hmm. Got it. I got an hour and 20 minutes. Absolutely.
Yeah, keep it tight. And, they tried. But yeah, so they love each other so much, and you all know what that means. That means that his fiancée is immediately going to get sexually assaulted and killed. Also, his dad gets his head blown off. You want to speak about gratuitous. And I actually I laughed at this movie more than the comedy we covered a couple of weeks ago. And this was one of the points where I laughed, is when a henchman blows Alex's dad's head off with a shotgun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's 2 fun head damage special effects things in this film, and they're both just delightful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is nice, too, because as we were talking about before we recorded, despite the tone of this movie being sort of charming and hokey, there is a few minutes of a very brutal sexual assault. So
yeah,
it's definitely kind of sudden gravity, but then is immediately alleviated by the dad's head getting so it brings it back to brings it back to equilibrium.
Yeah, it makes it fun again. It wasn't so much fun then, but then they got the exploding head gag, and you're like, that's cute. I like that.
Now we're back in business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like you said, there is some sexual assault in this movie. In this case, it is Alex's fiancée Julia getting raped and killed. And I'll say this, Tim and I have watched a lot of B-movie schlock, and so you kind of expect that after a certain point. You expect these neck-breaking tonal shifts, really inappropriate stuff. And we don't shrink from discussing this kind of thing, and we're both fine with this kind of material being depicted, but it's really all in how you handle it. And when I was watching this, I was like, yeah, okay, we get the point. You don't need to make it clear that she is having oral rape forced upon her. I get it. It's bad. She's having a bad time. Thank you. Jesus Christ.
You can imply in a much more indirect way. Again, I think this is also just a matter of a lot of things in this movie. It just reminds you of what skill it is to make a good movie.
Yeah,
because the way that a steady hand would deal with this is different than the way that it is dealt with in this film. So it does. The other thing that I feel that way about is this guy is a really good kickboxer and stuff, but the fight choreography is really bad. And that again is that is a real art form and a real skill. And as is depicting violence in a way that is not totally stomach churning, I think.
Yeah, there is the basic scene making in here is rudimentary at best. It's entirely possible that our star might have been doing his own fight choreography. And I'm not even going to ding him on that, because what are you going to do? We'll call up Jet Li and have him come by.
Totally. And again, like it reminds me of the fact that like being an actual fighter and being like like Jean-Claude Van Damme is good at being in those kinds of movies beyond just being like good at fighting. Like they are related but separate skills. It's like with pro wrestling, like not every real wrestler can do that kind of work. And vice versa. Like they require athleticism, but they don't overlap as much as you might think they do.
That's true, because like how many jobbers are out there compared to like real stars, like people who have it.
Yeah, and like a lot of those people are people who have legitimately trained as fighters.
Yeah.
And it's just fake fighting and real fighting, whether it's in a movie, whether it's in pro wrestling or whatever, they're not the same.
Yes.
And choreography is an entirely different skill from that even.
That's true.
So,
and that's a really good point, because movie fighting is so removed from actual fights. Like if you see like a video clip of someone getting into like a for real fight on the street, like there's no elegance about it. Like no
there's
moves.
no like dynamics.
Right.
There's no pacing.
Yeah.
It's not super exciting to watch, really, unless you are like really into watching people get hurt.
Yeah, and like it's so rare that and you know, these are probably like the only kind of like fighting, like real fighting clips you tend to see are the ones that go viral because something wild happens.
Yeah.
Most fights don't look like that. Like most fights, like, you know, it's like it's very muddled, and it isn't just like, oh man, that guy knocked that guy out with one punch. I'm thinking of it was a fight going on in like a fast food restaurant, and this chick was just like destroying like every guy who came at her.
I know which one you're thinking of, because it's this woman does a perfect judo throw.
Yes.
She just grabs the back of this guy's shirt and does like a perfectly, like her center of gravity, her weight is exactly where you need it to be, and she just hurls this guy, and it's like, get this woman on like the NFL draft or something. Like that was incredible. It's just like technically perfect. But yeah, you know, most fights are like, I don't know, 45 seconds long and they just look like a tornado of limbs. They're not like, it's not John Wick out there.
The other thing about real fights as opposed to movie fights is that movie fights tend to involve like way more bare knuckle punches directly to the face.
Yeah, you get one of those in a real fight, probably pretty close to reaching its conclusion.
Yeah, like it gets to a point where you're, you know, if you're watching an Indiana Jones movie, you're like, India's got to have CTE at this point. Like,
yeah, definitely.
He's taken so many shots right to the face. Like, man. Yeah, so this one it's not exactly a Jackie Chan film, but they're working at their level. It's fine. One thing I did forget.
It's fine.
Yeah. One thing I did forget to mention is the incredibly hilarious cross-cutting between the deaths of Alex's dad and fiance and the Yakuza style brutalizing of Mr. Wang, who is challenging the main bad guy, Mr. Hawthorne.
Yeah.
It's so good. And I know that the guy playing Mr. Hawthorne is probably like the Anthony Hopkins of Virginia Beach. And this guy was in a few legitimate features. I think one of them being the Gwyneth Paltrow flop Hush is like a priest or something in a bit part.
He reminds me a bit. He has like a little bit of the vibe of Kevin Teague in Roadhouse. Like he's sort of like non-specifically creepy.
Yeah.
But you don't like. Like he has kind of an unplaceable accent to me. Like I just found his whole vibe very inscrutable, which I guess is good. I guess that's what you want from like a shadowy villain.
Yeah, he has a certain Lindsey Graham quality.
Yes, I could see that. Yeah.
And the actor seems to be having a blast playing this type of role. So
totally.
Yeah, but you know, props to him. As a big bad, he isn't the most scary, but he mostly just like calls the shots. The other main antagonist is a guy very scarily named Mr. Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're all thinking of that Counting Crows song. But yeah, this is the one who, I guess, Alex has the most beef with this guy because he's the one who, cut his fiance's throat and all that. And apparently he has a tattoo. And I need to ask you, Kath, do we see the tattoo at any point? Because I legitimately don't remember.
I don't think so.
Like, did they forgot to get an insert shot of the tattoo?
Yeah, which is like annoying because it is referenced in dialogue. And if there was a shot of the tattoo, the audience could be like, oh, she saw this guy.
Right.
Because they're like talking about it and they realize they're talking about the same guy, but like it has to be revealed through clunky exposition because they forgot to get a shot of the dude's. He has a hawk tattoo on his hand, I guess, but we never see it. So.
Okay, that's what I thought because, and I got a broken brain, so sometimes my attention flags. But I'm glad that I'm not like misremembering because I was like, yeah, I don't think we see the tattoo, or maybe they just didn't have a person who could like convincingly draw a hawk tattoo.
Yeah,
and they were like, well, you know what they say in the movie business: tell, don't show.
Right.
So we'll be fine. Mr. Jones and me menace women sexually. But anyway, so after the murder of Alex's fiancé and father, he's also fucked up pretty bad. The cucked guy from the first scene, who, as it turns out, is just gunning for that position of...
Yeah, he's the one who sort of set them up because he wants Alex's dad gone so he can be the big boss.
Yeah, and you can tell that this guy's a mastermind because in the first scene he says, "Oh, I could never replace you as chief of police, sir." That is sneaky as fuck.
Yeah, he's really great at machinations. You can also tell because like he goes up to this tied up, wounded Alex and just goes, "What did I get myself into?" It's like, all right, man. I don't really feel that bad for you right now. You just got 2 people killed. I think that wasn't super surprising to you.
I love the monologuing in this movie because later on you get, what you need, Cassie, is a good hot bath.
Yes.
That thing that women are always saying to themselves because we as women love a good hot bath.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
So, O'Reilly is the name of the aspiring police chief who is just again, like a masterful antagonist. He's so funny when he's interacting with Mr. Jones because, he tries to give him like a chummy hand on the shoulder. Mr. Jones is like, "If you ever fucking touch me again, I'll kill you," or something like that. And
yeah, he's the lowest on the totem pole for sure.
Yeah, and O'Reilly looks like his feelings are genuinely hurt.
Yeah, I feel like that happens a couple times where like the other villain guys are like bossing him around and he just like gives this very pathetic look.
Yeah, he just wilts.
It's pretty good.
He's like, "Oh man, like, I thought we were really getting along. I thought you guys liked me." Well, you thought
I thought
wrong.
I was gonna be like in the group now because I helped you. Nope.
Well, that's what happens when you pal around with ruffians and vagabonds such as these.
That's true.
Off-duty computer programmers from Virginia Beach circa the early 90s. So Alex is, he gets pretty beat up in this, and the aspiring police chief fails to shoot him. So his first mistake. So Alex, I forget where he crawls off to, but he is discovered by his eventual mentor, Joshua Collins, the Vietnam veteran that you mentioned up front. And this is another delightful thing about this movie is the very stock character of like the crusty old mentor of the hero. Like the Mr. Miyagi in a wheelchair, basically. And I don't know. We could probably do a whole episode about like the intrinsic ableism of a disabled man saying, "You're gonna be my legs," but it's 1992 to 1997. So what can you do?
Yeah, definitely a product of its time. Spoiler alert, I was thrilled that so this is it's like your stock Mr. Miyagi character combined with like your stock magical Negro assistant to the
That's also very important
protagonist
because the actor is
character,
black, yes.
because the actor is black. And so I was overjoyed at the end that he doesn't die.
Yes.
Because I was given the sort of trajectory of those stock characters, I was convinced he was gonna like, because there's a scene where he's like being tough and he's like, I'm never gonna give him up. Like they're asking him where Alex is and he's not doing it. And I'm like, if they kill this guy, I'm gonna be so annoyed.
Yes.
And they don't. He lives.
Yes.
And that makes me very happy.
Yes, he lives to coach Alex another day to tell him like, hold on to your toxic rage and use it.
Right. His coaching is just bullying because he's not, again, he's in a wheelchair. He's not physically really able to spar in any meaningful way. He mostly just verbally harasses him, which is great.
Yeah. And he's, to be fair, he is good at that because he really bullies the shit out of Alex.
He does. He does.
Oh, and I love the way he's introduced because when he finds Alex, he basically does a riff on the somebody threw away a perfectly good white boy line from Better Off Dead.
Yep.
He helps Alex by taking him back to the abandoned warehouse that he lives in and basically nursing him back to health and bullying him into seeking revenge, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, the abandoned warehouse he lives in, I have to imagine it is also the bar and also the villain's lair at the end, and also several other locations, because it's basically just a black, empty room, which I would say maybe 3/4 of this movie takes place in, other than the scenes that are outside where he's beating up ruffians in like parking lots.
Yeah, and I really feel like this is probably like a local black box theater or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think you're probably right.
I love. I also love the way that they kind of stretch their dollar on production design. Like they can't really do like a proper villain lair for Mr. Hawthorne. Yeah. So what they do is they just project the PBS NewsHour on the wall behind him.
They just have a big it's very like Kenneth Anger or something. Like there's just this big full wall projection of film and they're just sitting in front of it chilling. It is that there are a few touches in this movie that struck me as very like arty.
Yes.
It was that and the dream.
Yes.
Those were the ones where I was like, okay, this is the director flexing a little bit. I like this.
Yeah, and I kind of love that because it is such a it's such a it's just straight up a cheapskate move and it works. But I was like,
it's fun to see it's fun to see how people manage those limitations.
Exactly.
And it's fun to see the personality or like the aesthetic choices that they're making come out in a way beyond just sort of like the utilitarian shooting of the rest of the film. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's super fun just the way that they kind of like stretch their resources. And honestly, I think Judy Woodruff should have gotten a credit on this movie.
I thought it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's perfect because like you can't you're not going to be able to do like, Adrian Veidt's like bank of TVs from Watchmen. So, work with what you got. And hey, I know a guy with a projector. So yeah, like really, really good production design. They're being very economical. And so Alex is nursed back to health by Joshua, which is like all these scenes are just like so funny. There's a point where Joshua says to him, "Nice looking woman you had there, Alex." And it's like, oh, okay, thanks, dude. Thanks for perving on my dead girlfriend.
Right. Yeah, it is like, it's a funny training montage because like, of course there's a training montage. Mm-hmm. Of course it's like a showcase of this athlete with this like crazy body and everything, but it's interspersed with bullying. It's like, it's very funny. You don't get like inspirational music under it really because it's like you do, but then over it, this guy is just insulting the main character. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and quick note about the music. The composer definitely believes, why use 3 chords when 1 will do?
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah, because every time there's a fight in this movie, it's just like din-it-nit, 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 to the point where you start to go a little bit insane.
Yeah, especially like the big one at the end. It's the same music underneath the entire thing, and it's like, this is not really how you communicate a dynamic story.
It's like just put in one other chord, like, please. I don't know anything about writing music, but I feel like even if you just mashed your hand on the keyboard and took it from there, like, it would be better. But hey, I mean, I don't know anything about the composer, but I wish them no ill. I hope they're well.
I'd be surprised if there was a composer whose sole job was to compose. This seems like maybe somebody pulling double duty.
That's a really good point, because I just found out, I don't know if you know the film, but it's a pretty notoriously bad one, Rotor from 1987. For the longest time, there was a particular character that was uncredited. Like, no one knew who actually played this character. And then I only just found out that it is actually the guy who composed the music for the movie.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so
give a little cameo.
Yeah, so that legitimately might be the case here, because on productions like this, people do tend to wear a lot of hats just out of necessity. Yeah. So hey, and this brings us to the point where we meet our intrepid reporter, Cassie.
Yes, who is the female lead that we both thought was pretty decent.
Yes. She, I guess she writes for the National Enquirer or something. Like,
she writes for a shitty tabloid.
Right.
It is established, but apparently a local shitty tabloid, which is interesting.
That's so funny.
I like that idea.
Yeah, like, man, different times. Like, it was, back in the early 90s, like, the local market could sustain, like, a tabloid newspaper.
That's delightful.
They kind of missed the boat by not, like, putting in some mock-ups of, like, stories on the front page.
I did want to hear more about the tabloid, because it is sort of indirectly referenced, but yeah, I wanted to know more about that.
But I have to say that this is a little bit like the fact that the National Enquirer, I think, actually broke the story about Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton back in the day.
No, they like did some real stuff. Also, I want to plug, let me see what it's called. So this writer, Daisy Thursday, did this amazing zine, and it's a collection of old tabloid stories about trans people.
Oh, wow.
And Daisy's trans, and it's called Sex Change USA, Transgender Life in the Supermarket Tabloid. It's so interesting and cool. It's just a collection of all these old tabloid stories. And she wrote the introduction, and she was just talking about how, like, obviously these are very sort of like looky-loo, look at these weirdos stories, but in a lot of ways they're kind of more respectful than a lot of current media about trans people, just because it's a sort of like, would you look at that?
Yes.
And like it respects them a lot more as people who have like made valid choices than a lot of current trans reporting, even if it's also very sensationalized and stuff. But yeah, super interesting. And just another thing of like, tabloids had some value. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I haven't looked into it in depth, but I have a feeling that in the case of the National Enquirer and Bill Clinton, it was a case of, we're willing to run with the story and that no one else wants to for reasons. A thing which, hey, still happens today. Look at our media now. We use a good tabloid these days. Yeah. And it's true. Like, Cassie is doing valuable work covering this vigilante crime wave in the community.
It's also like a real throwback that at the end of the movie, she has a big envelope of cash that she got paid for writing the story, which like, she like that she was paid enough that she can split it with someone.
Yeah.
That's a throwback right there.
Absolutely. Now, like, what would she be doing now? She'd be writing like $50 pieces for the Baffler or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Not the Baffler. I can think of a better.
I was thinking it should be at like Daily Beast or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, her shit's paywalled, but she doesn't get paid like anywhere near where she should be paid.
Yeah.
And you know what? She's doing this hard work as a journalist, and these two mustache jagoffs on the radio just make fun of her for writing stories about Bigfoot babies and shit.
Okay, it pissed me off that these guys, these morning radio DJs, they give, according to them, they have dubbed this vigilante. So at this point in the story, Alex is going out and fighting petty criminals with his newfound, he can harness his rage to just a wave of purse snatchings going on in this community, and he's fighting everybody. And these morning radio DJs have dubbed him the Dark Angel. And then she writes a story where she calls him that. And they're like, she stole our term. And it's like, don't you want this to catch on? That's like what a nickname is supposed to do. You want people to use it. Like, it was so weird to me that they got mad about it.
That's true, because it's like, you come up with a nickname and then you don't want people to use the nickname. It's like, are you not clear on the concept of...
Right. Like, that is how you determine whether it's a good nickname or not.
Yeah. Like, but, these are two assholes from, like, local radio. Like, this is, like, Greaseman level shit, to be honest.
Totally.
And these guys are definitely going to get fired in a few years for, like, I don't know, dropping some horrible, like, racial joke or whatever, but
oh yeah, they did some shit to some interns that got them fired.
Oh yeah,
Me Too or something.
Yeah,
no question.
They would definitely be talked about by Brian on Shocktober.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is where I learned about most of these guys. So Cassie's running down the story, as a journalist should, and this brings us to a scene that I think, and I was talking about this movie with Tim yesterday, and this is the scene that's burned into his brain, is when Cassie gets attacked by local thugs on a dismal side street. Because if you wanted to sum up this movie in one scene, this is it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like, just like a horrible side street, probably in an industrial zoned neighborhood, probably shot without a permit, like awful cracked pavement. All the thugs in this movie are about 5'5".
Yep, terrible hairpiece in this scene for some reason. A astonishingly bad mullet hairpiece. Some very strange acting choices. I really like the guy just yelling yes over and over. That really stuck with me. It's just very, yeah.
He believes in positivity. And I know the thing that got Tim about this scene was when Alex, aka the Dark Angel, actually makes his appearance. Like, he runs in with his ninja outfit.
Yeah, he dresses like a ninja when he does these acts of vigilantism. And
this is another example of kind of the gulf between, like, real life and the movies. And I'm sure that Alex could absolutely kick my ass. I'm sure he could kick a lot of people's asses and would do it efficiently. And
he did it professionally for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm sure that Curtis Bush, like, absolutely knows how to shoot fight. On camera, when he first runs in his costume, Tim was just like, he looks like a child. Like a really tall child.
A little lost.
But
he also, like, there are a couple times, it happens at this point, at the end of this fight too, but he doesn't want to reveal his identity. Mm-hmm. So at the end of his fights, he just runs away. And, like, it's not like a crazy run or anything, but, like, he doesn't run cool. Like, he doesn't look cool doing it.
Yeah, it does look extremely funny every time he just takes off.
There's also, like, I think a problem, which again, I think is just a difference between, like, shoot fighting and real fighting of this. I must be like a kickboxing thing, but, like, the stance you have to be in when you're getting ready, it's so strange looking. Yeah. Like, he has his fingers splayed and his arms sort of at, like, 90 degrees, and it just looks so stiff and strange and, like, for lack of a better term, just, like, not cool.
It looks really dorky. There's no way around it.
Yeah, it's just dorky. And, like, it is alleviated when he does like an awesome spin kick or whatever. But like for a lot of the fight, he is standing there in a way where it's like, if you had like a real fight choreographer helping you with this, they would tell you not to stand like that because it's not cool.
Yeah, because and it wouldn't be like, you know, maybe because there are always some people who take movie accuracy like way too seriously. They'd be like, oh man, like what is that stance? What even is that? It's like, dude, it doesn't matter. It just has to look cinematic. Like,
right. It's for action movies, like anything that is like that, it's like, well, did the choice they make everything look cooler? Then be quiet because it's a movie. Like,
and when you're making this kind of a movie, you want everything to look sick as hell.
That's the entire reason it exists. Is to
exactly right.
To have things look cool, which unfortunately this movie does kind of fail at.
Yeah, and this scene really does kind of embody the spirit of the entire thing. I think that was the point when I first saw it where I was like, oh my God, I think I love this movie. This is so good.
It's not, I mean, again, like we've been saying, it just like, it makes you appreciate how hard it is to make things good. And it's like, you really see the effort when you see the seams, you know?
Absolutely.
And like, you really see the seams in this.
Yeah. And the level of filmmaking where it's like, you know, like, again, they might be shooting without a permit, so they're not going to bother with that many setups. So it's mostly in the master because, you know, definitely. What can you do? It's like, well, yeah, it's gonna look like that. But yeah, so Alex saves Cassie, and she's like, "Who are you?" But he's already like just Naruto
running away like a dork
off. Yeah. It's so good, and this looks like such a horrible part of town. And right around this time, really quickly, I want to mention another scene in which Alex beats up a bunch of thugs. Like this is what I call the shitty pier scene. Because, good Lord, like, I assume that they're shooting, because you mentioned Virginia Beach is like might be a touristy kind of place. I assume they're making this in the off season.
I think you're right. It's definitely not like super nice. No. Like, I don't think it's like a ritzy area. But it also the desolation of these shots makes me think it is probably a nice, you know, November in Virginia Beach when they're shooting this.
Yeah, like everything looks barren. There's a horrible looking like possibly abandoned McDonald's in the background. It looks horrible, and that only makes me love the movie more. Also, there's a point in this when a bunch of guys in Zubas are beating up like a businessman who's like alone on the pier for some reason, making a phone call. There's a point where, you know, Alex runs in, of course, he does a dork run in and beats up these guys. And then he breaks one guy's limb, and the Foley sounds like someone biting into an apple.
Yeah. The Foley's so funny and good.
It's amazing.
It really is delightful.
Yeah, it's great. And so as we see, like, Alex is becoming more and more adept at beating the shit out of people.
More psycho, you could say.
Yes, that's true. He's getting so very psycho. In the meantime, Cassie, for some reason, is being beleaguered by fake dark angels. And this I don't get. Why are there a bunch of fake dark angels lined up at her apartment?
I have no idea. This is one of those things where it's like, I feel like because this movie was made over 5 years, they like forgot to like have it make sense they forgot to like tie everything up, I feel. Yeah, maybe there was something more about this in another version of this movie.
Yeah, I think you're correct on that, because like I've probably seen the movie like 3 or 4 times at this point, and every time I'm like, wait, like what's the setup for this? Like, why are they at her place? It does give the PI Jack Cook the opportunity to brandish at these guys because Cassie asks him to get rid of them, and I gotta say that is actually like kind of a funny scene.
It is, yeah. I don't know. I like these two. I think they're fun.
They have a good dynamic, and it is funny to see. Like in a wide shot from like up near Cassie's apartment, like the apartment courtyard, and guys like dressed like Batman, just like skedaddling.
Yeah, scurrying away.
Yeah, that's very funny. So Mr. PI misrepresents himself as being from the police department. Cassie catches him in a lie, and after she is he startles her in the midst of her changing clothes, because of course she does.
Mm-hmm.
She also goes commando, apparently, which seems really uncomfortable to me in jeans, but hey.
I mean, I feel like this is all just character development for her being like a badass lady, because she goes commando, and then she holds this guy at gunpoint when she catches him in a lie and realizes he's not who he says he is. So we're just like, she takes no shit. She don't wear no underwear. She's a badass.
Yeah,
that was my reading.
She's a sexy journalist. You don't take no guff, and she's also got an ass.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and to be fair, she is cute. So
she does. She got an ass. Good for her.
And so this is the PI brandishes his service weapon outside. She brandishes her ass, but she figures out that he's not who he's claiming to be, but he's able to talk her down, and his pitch is, look, let's work together on this Dark Angel thing, because I legitimately think this is the only way he's going to get his bar tab paid.
Yeah. He's on the skids for sure. This is he's not inspired to do this. He needs this to settle his debts.
Yeah, and I think they're hoping to get like the $10,000 bounty on it or something, but
yeah, there's like a police reward.
Yeah.
Which comes into play a little later, but
she's probably going to write a well-received true crime book about this whole thing.
Yeah, if this were happening now, she could have a very successful podcast.
Absolutely. I would listen to that.
I probably would, honestly.
Yeah. Good for you, Cassie.
She could go on one of those cruises, those like true crime cruises, which that sounds like an absolute nightmare.
Oh, God.
Like you're like, mom was murdered, and then you get to go talk on a cruise to a bunch of people who like found your story entertaining or something.
Yeah, and probably
those are wild to me.
And probably like an older skewing demographic too, because it's a cruise. And like, not hating anybody who likes to go on cruises, but I have 0% interest in going on a cruise. I've never been on one. I don't plan to go on one. I don't really like having norovirus. So hey, and also the environmental impact seems not good.
Yeah, not for me.
Right.
Not for me.
And to do like a theme cruise like that, where it's like, oh, we're all into true crime, or like I've seen a few where it's like, hey, hang out with your favorite progressive rock musicians or something like that. I'm like, why would you do that to those people? Trap them on a boat with fans?
I have a friend, Kevin McCaffrey. He did What a Time to Be Alive recently. He's a road comic, and he's done cruises and stuff. And he's not even like famous. He's just the hired entertainment, when they have like a comedy night. And even he says like when he's done them, he does the first night with a beard, and then he shaves because he doesn't want people to like bother him. So I can't imagine if you're like on the Weezer cruise and you are Weezer, you have to like stay barricaded in your room the whole time, or people are gonna bother you.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, if you go to San Diego Comic-Con, you can leave the convention center if you want.
Right. Yeah, you're not trapped there for a long weekend or something.
Yeah, like, no thank you. Well, Cassie, if you do end up on that true crime cruise, like, mask up and wash your hands.
Good luck.
So now Cassie is allied with Jack Cook, the PI, who in between running up his bar tab is going to do something to try to figure out who the Dark Angel is. It's a little fuzzy. And this probably ties into what you were saying about how the movie was made over several years, and maybe they just kind of patched it together and didn't have like a really strong like through line going through it, because we get to, let's see, we have some extraneous scenes of Alex fighting crime, basically, which that brings us to the absolutely hilarious gag that you mentioned earlier, where he saves a lady from a carjacker.
Yeah, that like I feel like the bulk of this movie is this sort of middle act of like a series of him fighting people.
Yes.
And this part does sort of culminate in him saving. There's a carjacking. This lady gets her head like slammed into the steering wheel, I guess,
Yeah.
and then is like bleeding from the forehead. He comes, incapacitates the carjacker, throws him down on the pavement, then goes and runs and checks on the lady. And he's like, "Ma'am, are you okay? Are you okay?" And she's like, "Fuck this guy." Throws on the accelerator and runs over his head. And it's like the season finale or series finale of The Sopranos. Just it's great. It's delightful.
I had completely forgotten about this, and I popped for this bit because I was like, wow, that is so unnecessary and so awesome.
You pop just like this dude's head. It's great. It's so funny. Yeah. The two exploding heads in this movie really are the highlights, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that this lady was so mad about almost being carjacked that she decided to crush this guy's skull.
To commit manslaughter. Yeah, love it.
She should team up with Alex because, like, damn, she's got the killer instinct, man.
Ruthless.
Do not fuck with her. So yeah, that's fucking great. And that's the kind of thing that you only get in movies like this. Like, just totally inappropriate, like, extreme gags that will have, like, if you watch this with a bunch of friends, everybody's just going to start fucking cheering because, like, hell yeah.
No, this is very much the type of movie. When I was in college, I ran a movie club called Movie Madness. We met on Wednesday nights at 10, and we'd drink a box of Franzia and we'd watch, like, a piece of shit movie.
That's how you do it.
This would have been a total hit.
Oh, yeah.
This would have been gangbusters at Movie Madness for sure.
Yeah, and that is the exact kind of movie that, to Tim's consternation, I keep bringing on the show. But I think secretly he enjoys it. He just doesn't want to admit it. Oh, right. Now we're at the point where Alex commits another murder on a guy in a sub shop.
He kills a lot of people in this.
Yeah, he does. Because earlier in the movie, he just left the warehouse to go for a walk and then just, like, kills a couple guys.
Yeah. He's a psycho, man.
Yeah, and that part is hilarious because, like, Joshua just gives him, like, when he finds out, he just gives him a sarcastic slow clap.
Yeah.
Which is a great way to...
This guy can't be impressed. He's a bully.
Yeah, well, after what he's seen in Vietnam, like, that's nothing. Yeah. Like, a couple of thugs with limbs broken in an alley. It's like, whatever. I was at My Lai, bitch. But, yeah, so Alex murders a guy in the sub shop, a guy who is trying to rob the owner of the sub shop, and that results in a media frenzy, basically.
This is interesting because he's unmasked at this point,
right?
And so he does this while just trying to get a sandwich, not in Dark Angel mode.
So awkward.
And the sub shop guy covers for him.
Yeah,
he's like, "I know who you are," which is also interesting because the other thing that's going on during this is that Alex is a suspect in the murder of his fiance and father. So he's, like, kind of laying low, but I guess also just hanging out in the city ordering sandwiches. Unclear.
Yeah, like doing training runs on the beach. I'm like, aren't you worried you're going to get, like, recognized, dude? Because you were the son of the police chief, like, a prominent citizen.
They know who you are.
Yeah. Again, like, this movie was not really thought through.
Sure.
And I really feel like this is, like, a lot of projects that I do where I'm, like, super excited about part of it. And then, like, the logistics kind of falls by the waysides because I'm dumb.
Very much this movie, you could feel where the enthusiasm was, and it was not in the plot.
Right. I'm sure they had a blast, like, making up fight scenes. When it comes to the boring day-to-day shit of, writing a screenplay, like
making a movie that makes sense.
Yeah, getting a permit for your location. That's boring. I don't want to do that. Let's just grab the camera and go shoot. Put on your ninja costume. So, yeah, but, the story's getting to where it's going by hook or by crook. Because, speaking of speaking of the logistics of filmmaking, I think is this the part where we get like a brief dream sequence?
I think so, yeah, because this is sort of like the last little bit before we get into the end zone.
Yeah.
From what I remember.
So this is where we get Artie.
So he has a dream of teaching.
Yes. Yeah. So
what do you think of this? What do you think this dream sequence is signifying for our hero?
I kind of felt like they were taking a stab at showing a conflict within their main character, because obviously, you know, he's embodying the psycho kickboxer, but there is a part of him which longs for a simpler time when he taught karate to children, like the Alex who said, "If I see you being a karate bully, I'll smash you myself."
Yeah. He I think this is when they were like, shit, we need to make sure the audience remembers that this guy's like the good guy.
Right. That's a really good point. Like he literally isn't just a guy who kills people in delis.
Right. Right.
Who stands by while women like crush the heads of carjackers. Yeah. And they do get a little arty with it by you know, kind of moving the camera around all crazy and like flashing some lights.
There's like an echo effect on his voice.
Yeah.
It's an interesting take on a dream sequence, I think.
Yeah.
The sound design in particular is like, I kind of felt like, is there something wrong with my streaming?
The fact that there was an attempt to design the sound at all is extraordinary.
I give it a thumbs up for effort, you know?
Yeah, they tried. And they knew like what kind of character beat they kind of needed to throw in there. Like they kind of just threw it in wherever and they didn't do it that well, but hey, you know, that's I would mark this a B+. Yeah, so we have we get a little sample of our character being conflicted about becoming a well-oiled killing machine.
Mm-hmm.
But no time for that, because I believe this is the point where Cassie gets kidnapped.
Yeah, there's like a series of kidnappings that ultimately lead to the final sort of, I guess, climax. It's kind of anticlimactic, but the end, I guess.
Yeah.
This is the first of a couple, I think. But yeah, Cassie gets kidnapped and brought to, what's the villain guy's name again?
Mr. Hawthorne.
Mr. Hawthorne, yes, they say it a bunch. She gets delivered to Mr. Hawthorne, and this is where she sees the fabled hawk tattoo that we cannot see.
Yeah, we'll take your word for it, Cassie.
And then, yeah, so then she meets back up afterward with Alex, who, of course, stumbles upon her when she is in the bath for some intrigue that, again, is never consummated or acknowledged, really, later in the movie. But then they realize they're going after the same, you know, they've been wronged by the same dude.
Yeah, and at this point, our lead actor seems legitimately confused as to whether he should be chivalrously avoiding looking at the naked woman in the bathtub or just giving in and looking at the naked woman in the bathtub.
Yeah, he kind of splits the difference in a confusing way.
And like many women in movies, she is incredibly blasé about being completely naked in front of a stranger who's just walked into her apartment.
People in movies do be like hanging out in baths in a way that does not reflect my real life experience at all.
Yeah, like it's like how there are so many locker scenes in locker room scenes in movies where everybody's just like walking around like fully nude. Like I think in like the first season of Gemstones, there's like a shot of like just a guy walking through the locker room like with his dick out, you know. When
I don't know. I feel like that actually happens at my gym. I feel like there are a lot of people hanging out naked.
You know, it might depend on the gym. And it's true.
The thing that is different though is that like there are never like full conversations going on.
No.
Which is what is happening in movies when people are doing that.
Yeah, I gotta say there aren't many people that I would be comfortable holding an in-depth conversation with while I am one or both of us is naked. Yeah. There are some people, but that is a very small circle of people.
Right. Yeah.
Cassie, on the other hand, is just like, hey, whatever, you know, like you've already seen everything, so like I'm not even gonna like grab a towel or anything.
Totally.
Also, like, the Alex points out that she left her door open. Like, and she has literally just been kidnapped. Like, put
Yeah.
the deadbolt on or something. But he's there to warn her that there are a couple of guys watching her who might be the guys who kidnapped her already. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. That's every time we explain a plot point in this movie, the unspoken thing is it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And we all know what's going to happen. There has to be a confrontation between our hero and the big bad. Things do get a little screwy when Jack Cook runs in, assumes, not without merit, that Cassie is being attacked or something because there's a stranger dressed all in black in her apartment.
Yeah, he's in ninja mode at this point.
Yeah.
So Jack obviously thinks intruder.
Yeah.
And
then
shoots him in the stomach, which I
Yeah.
feel like is movie shorthand for you're gonna die.
Yeah. And this is an odd choice because it's not like he just winged him. Like, he shoots him in the gut. And so
Right.
Alex has to, run back to the warehouse and, respawn or whatever. And then the next thing you know, we have our confrontation with the main bad guy with Alex, like, with his torso, like, slightly bandaged.
Yeah, he's got like a little scrape. He has a bandage for a while and then the bandage comes off and it's like he skinned his belly or something.
Right.
He's got like a little abrasion, which is like, why didn't you just have him get shot in the shoulder or something? I guess because then you can't punch. I don't know.
Well, yeah, like,
I don't know.
That's the thing is like, yeah, maybe like he would not be able to use that arm, but like the alternative is like, oh, you're going to bleed out.
Right. That is like in life, but particularly in a movie, that means you're like in very grave danger of imminent death.
Yeah, like it really should be more like Tim Roth and Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
All this blood scaring the shit out of me, Cassie. But yeah, it doesn't happen that way. And Alex is basically, made of iron or something because he goes back to the warehouse and Josh is like, I'm going to fix you right up. And I guess he does because...
He does.
Yeah.
These are more like wizened mentor / magical Negro powers that he can heal the white, or actually, I don't know if he's white, but the non-black protagonist is being healed.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier the scene where Joshua finds Alex for the first time and says like, "Damn, you never know when you'll find a half-dead white boy," and I'm like, "Wait, he's white?"
Yeah, unclear. Does not say on his Wikipedia page what his heritage is.
Yeah, because like
kind of one of those guys that could be like most things.
That's true, but I assumed Latinx, but I could be wrong, and I don't want to be doing phrenology on my show, so who knows?
Totally.
He could just be like a tall ass white guy with the lowest hairline I've ever seen.
It's possible.
Yeah. So, but hey, either way, like he gets the job done. So Alex obviously is going to have to save Cassie and Jack, who've been kidnapped by Mr. Hawthorne. They're the leverage. And that brings us to like our big climax. And I got to be real, this is the point where I kind of start to zone out a little bit.
Yeah, it's not a very good climax. It's
No.
really it's very anticlimactic, I find. I think they were trying to, like I said, they had like one big guy who could be in the movie, and so they're like, we have to save him for the end.
Yes.
Because like everyone else, like you said, looks like a computer programmer. But it's basically just the same fighting that's been in the rest of the movie. There is one part that is very cool, which is when he throws the knife into the dirty cop's forehead. That part is cool. I did sort of wake up a little bit for that.
That is pretty awesome. And you do get the reverse shot of the guy with like, suddenly there's a knife growing out of my forehead. And
yeah, you see him because like a hawk, Jones is coming after him with a knife. He gets the knife, he chucks it, and then bam, perfect.
yeah.
You see him chuck it, then you see the reverse shot. It's delightful.
It's the kind of thing you want to see in a movie like this. Because honestly, the rest of this
Yeah.
fight scene is kind of dull.
lackluster. Yeah.
I think what's the name of the video game with God damn it. What is that?
I'm the wrong person to ask what the name of any video game is.
You see,
I do not know.
I never had a console growing up, so like I'm not as up on this stuff. But now I remember what I was going to say because I remember the very stupid movie of the same name. I think Alex fights like Billy and Jimmy from Double Dragon, and then there's another guy who looks a little bit like Rambo. I don't know. I'm like kind of dissociating at this point because I'm like, okay, like keep it going, movie. Like, let's wrap this up because we all know where this is going.
Wrap it up. It's been 75 minutes.
Yes.
It's time. It's time for the end.
Yes. And it is very hilarious when Mr. Hawthorne gets got. That is an absolutely priceless sequence of shots because I think Cassie, because they're at like some Virginia Beach nightclub.
They're in the Black Box Theater again, but yes.
Yeah.
Supposedly they are in a Virginia Beach nightclub.
Yeah, it is some sort of event venue that they have secured for the 4 or 5 days they took to make this movie. So he gets knocked off the stage in an absolutely hilarious shot, and then Joshua, who has also been kidnapped and has been kicked out of his wheelchair because they always pick on the disabled guy.
Right.
Fucking snaps his neck.
Yeah.
With another...
It's pretty sick.
Yeah, with another Apple
good
Core
sound
effect. Yeah.
Yep.
Like someone's eating a lot of celery in the recording booth for this one.
I love that it's like a heartwarming thing. It's like, it kind of reminds me of like the end of the Bob Odenkirk John Wick. I can't remember what it's called. Like Nobody or whatever.
What was that? Mr. Nobody or something like that?
Something like that. But like there's a shot at the end where it's just like, isn't it fun that us old guys get to kill people? Like, it's sort of like they like have this moment where they look at each other and they're like, hell yeah, man. And I feel like that was like, aw, even the disabled guy gets to commit violence.
Yeah. Like
it's like sweet somehow.
Joshua is handy capable.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, it's very woke for 1992 through 1997. So, props for that. So that's the end of our big bad. And obviously, Alex also finishes off Mr. Jones, thus ridding us of the menace of Counting Crows or whatever. I think I might still be dissociating because I feel like it's a really awkward transition into the conclusion of the film.
Yeah, it's strange because, okay, so there's this big climactic scene, and it ends with Alex giving like a triumphal yell of anguish.
That's right.
And then he is no longer in the movie. It's the last scene is between Cassie and the PI.
Yes.
And this is when she says like, thank you for not turning him in. And in return, I will give you half of the money. Like, you won't get the $10,000 reward, but I got paid for writing this big feature article. So here's your $50. Right, exactly. Which like also then leads to some unresolved questions of like, so she wrote this whole article and didn't reveal his identity of this man who is like, has killed multiple people, and also like his real identity is someone who's wanted for questioning in a murder. Like, they just are not super clear about like, did the town find out about Mr. Hawthorne? Like, it's a wrap-up scene with no information. It's very strange.
That's a really good point, and this is why I always, if I don't have Tim around to, kind of walk me down the path, I like to book guests who are measurably smarter than I am, because like I completely glossed over all of that. I was just kind of in the mode of like, oh yeah, like he beat the bad guy, it's over. It's like, oh yeah, what about Cassie's story? Like, did she just make something up, or did she completely blow up Alex's spot?
Yeah, it's unclear, but she did write something and it worked out for her. It's like they wanted enough of a wrap-up scene to be like, everyone's okay, but they didn't want to like actually figure out the solutions to the problems that the movie's plot presents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which like, hey, all right, you wanted to make a movie about fighting. I'm not going to get too mad about it, but it is strange. It is weird.
I don't know. Maybe she ended up like writing, like she did like a Joe McGinnis and like wrote a true crime bestseller about some other murder and got paid off of that. Because, this was back when you could still get paid off of, book publishing. And then she was like, you know what? Like, Jack, like, really needs the help. I'm going to give him this $5,000 so he can finally pay off his bar tab.
Yeah.
And
it's nice.
Yeah. She's a solid citizen. And, that's gonna keep him in, bottom shelf whiskey or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe someday he'll actually take a case. I don't know.
Yeah, I would love a recurring like a film franchise based on these two. I think that'd be nice.
Yeah, I would love a network television series about Cassie and Jack Cook, like, working together.
A procedural where they solve martial arts based crimes.
That would be sick as hell. I would watch the hell out of that. Yeah, so that's it wrapped up for Cassie and Jack, and right after they kind of tie everything up with a neat little bow, we get a single shot of Joshua rolling down the street and, like, giving a high five to Alex.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, good, they're fine.
Right. There's the last few scenes are just the director, like, giving the audience a thumbs up, like, okay, it worked out. Everybody go home now. I hope the last hour and 20 minutes have been nice for you.
I assume that Alex continued to live with Joshua in the warehouse, and maybe they, like, fixed it up a little.
Yeah, make it a little more cozy.
Yeah. And, it does leave the door open for a sequel. Psycho Kickboxer 2, House Flippers. So I would like a movie where, like, someone is murdering house flippers.
Ooh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Again, though, the problem here is you'd have to have a good production design budget for that.
Yeah.
And this movie clearly does not.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we got to fundraise.
For something like that, you would have to know some realtors.
I think you're right. Yeah. Who'd let you film in all these, like, vacant show houses?
Yeah. It would be hilarious to, like, do it guerrilla style and you just keep getting chased out of open houses. Hey, no, it's for a movie. But yeah, so that's The Dark Angel, Psycho Kickboxer, or Psycho Kickboxer to some. You gotta see this if this is your brand of drivel, because it's so fun. Like I said, it's on Tubi. Kath, thank you so much for helping me describe this wonderful piece of outsider art.
Yeah, I'm so glad I got the opportunity to watch it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, you can show your support by going to patreon.com/haveyouseenthis and make a pledge at the $2 or $5 tier. $5 a month gets the latest episode before everyone else, plus access to our Discord, where we're always arguing about movies. If you'd like to give us a tip, our Ko-Fi link is in the show notes.
Hopefully, is it picking up on my mic that my upstairs neighbors seem to be banging around up there?
Honestly, it's pretty faint.
Okay, hopefully they'll stop. I don't know what they're doing up there.